Hello, my friends. Jacob's here one more time. Thank you for pressing play, for spending a little quality time with me while it seems like the world is falling apart here in the United States of America, especially because of all of the riots that have gotten so out of control in LA that Gavin Newsom's saying, come on and arrest me. Tom, guy who's in charge of Homeland Security, the two of them are having, the tit for tats over certain things.
What the hell is this guy? Come after me, arrest me. Let's just get it over with. Tough guy. I don't give a damn. But I care about my community. I care about this community. The hell are they doing? These guys need to grow up. They need to stop. And we need to push back. And I'm sorry to be so clear, but that kind of bloviating is exhausting. So Tom, arrest me. Let's go.
But these aren't the things that really concern me, because we have very big days ahead of us. This week is going to be packed with a lot of information that's going to come at you at all angles, I feel. In fact, I feel like that we're on the cusp of something huge. Like I said on my last show, if you haven't seen it, you should check it out. On the edge. We're on edge right now, my friends.
Well, we're going to have troops everywhere. We're not going to let this happen to our country. We're not going to let our country be torn apart.
If immigration raids had not happened here, we would not have the disorder.
Last night, I woke up and made a shocking discovery about all of this.
I recall 2020 quite well, when Governor Walz abandoned a police precinct and allowed it to be burned to the ground.
I was reminded of the show that I did exactly 4 months before the riots began. I compared the movie The Purge election year with The Coming Days. When I looked at this thumbnail, I couldn't help but notice the Statue of Liberty and the Purge in the background, and it looked very much like the protest that is about to go down on June 14th. I found out when the movie came out, and I thought, why not add it up to when my birthday hits? And it's exactly 8 years, 11 months, and 11 days. Then Time magazine put out this on their cover, which just so happens to look identical to the poster for the movie Civil War that came out on April 12, 2024, which is exactly 1 year, 2 months, 2 days from the military parade.
Ma'am, was abandoned and burned to the ground. And because of that, the National Guard was eventually, far too late, mobilized. And President Trump recognizes a situation like that, improperly handled by a governor, like it was by Governor Walz, if it gets out of control, is a bad situation for the citizens of any location.
Well, we're going to have troops everywhere. We're not going to let this happen to our country. We're not going to let our country be torn apart.
Donald Trump doesn't seem to be sweating it. He's showing up at UFC, putting on the titles and everything else. People are going crazy to shake his hand. Meanwhile, there are a lot of people that are very scared that the world is about to blow up, politically speaking, and in society at large.
The things you're reading about in Los Angeles, thank goodness we sent out some wonderful National Guard. They've really helped, and a lot of problems they were having out there. They were afraid to do anything, and we sent out the troops, and they've done a fantastic job.
Now, one of the things that are concerning me are the nationwide protests that are being called for. And one of the things that's going around right now all over the internet is the fact that they're calling for massive protests all around the country. But I'm telling you, this actually relates to a story in the Bible, one that's found in the book of Joshua, in the chapters of 9 and 10. This is right after Joshua ends up defeating the king of Ai. Sounds similar to me in a roundabout way. And it's surrounding 2 dates. One of them being my birthday, June 11th, which, by the way, thank you for all of the birthday wishes. I appreciate it. June 11th is going to be a very big day. In fact, it's going to be a big day when it comes to events in the heavens. There is a strawberry moon. But this one is super special. You won't see it again for a long, long time. This strawberry moon, which happens at 2:44 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, is going to almost freeze in place. It's almost going to stop moving. It's called a lunistis because that's what happens. They call it a lunar standstill. And it happens when the moon reaches its fullest or its lowest point in its monthly orbit. So the two of them together, it's going to make this moon seem enormous. It's going to be so big in the sky, and it's going to be so bright in the land that you're going to feel like something biblical is happening. And it is. June 11th, my birthday, when I turn 54 years old. That's right, baby! There's life after 50 for all of you out there. June 11th happens to be the day of the signing. It's most famous for the formation of the Committee of Five. In the story of Joshua, there are 5 kings that basically they were so worried because Joshua seemed to make a partnership with Gibeon, a place that means high hill. Gibeon was worried because Joshua and the army of Israel had just defeated Ai after beaten, hanged the king for all to see. So Gibeon, they were in the lands already, they were very close, they pretended that they were from far away and basically tricked Joshua into signing an agreement where, they wouldn't take over the lands and destroy them. Problem is, Joshua, he didn't actually go to God with this, so he got tricked and he ended up, but since he made the deal in God's name, Gibeon, this area that was pretty powerful to begin with, became basically their servants. They would fetch wood for them and they'd fetch water for them and everything else. But these 5 kings, now that you got the new king in town, right? You got when he wasn't a king, because Joshua was, he was ruled by God. The reason why this story is so important, because the protests that are going on, they're called No Kings. Many people coming together, creating this no kings idea because they're so scared that Trump's now in power that it's going to become like an authoritarian, totalitarian regime. That probably doesn't bode well for them that we're doing on June 14th, which is also President Trump's birthday. This is all very significant and symbolic, and it's going to make sense in a second. Well, it's the U.S. Army's 250th anniversary. It was the forming of the United States Army. At the Second Continental Congress, its establishment was on June 14th, 1777. So we have these 2 incredibly important dates. We have on June 11th, we have the strawberry moon that's happening, where the moon seems to stand still. Ironically, in this book of Joshua, where Joshua ends up making this deal with Gibeon. Gibeon did all sorts of, theatrics to get there. They made it look like they took a long journey. They had moldy bread. They dressed in tattered clothes. And they're like, oh, we heard that the Lord is with you. Please make a deal with us. And instead of praying about it, they just signed into the deal. But now, because they have this deal, Israel couldn't basically take over their lands. Israel, even though they were promised it, this was Joshua who came after Moses. Moses didn't lead them into the promised land. But in the promised land, there was the king of Jerusalem. There were these 5 kings. And they were the Canaanites. They were enemies of Israel. And they were not too thrilled that Israel was now coming into their territory. Much like a lot of people aren't too thrilled about migrants coming into their territory or being escorted out. But when these 5 kings, when they heard about the deal that Gibeon made with Israel, making them very powerful, they decided that they're going to attack. And so Gibeon went to Joshua and told them all about it. Next thing you know, we have this sneak attack that's going to go down. And these 5 kings that partnered against what God was actually doing, they end up getting messed up pretty bad, even though they were much bigger. You know why? Because God was fighting on their side. Joshua went to the Lord, Joshua prayed, and Joshua did something to get the moon and the sun to stand still. This is why I find it so interesting, because we have this no kings movement, this story that rejects the absolute idea of human authority, where you have these other 5 kings who are rejecting what God is doing because they're worried that they're going to lose the little they have. Sort of like Gavin Newsom screaming out, come on over and arrest me if you want.
Gavin Newsom, after President Trump said in the noon hour in the Oval Office that he called him yesterday or the other day, Gavin Newsom tweeted the following. He said, quote, "There was no call, not even a voicemail. Americans should be alarmed that a president deploying Marines on our streets doesn't even know who he's talking to." Well, President Trump contacted me from Air Force One. He said the first call to Gavin Newsom was not picked up. The second call Gavin picked up. We spoke for 16 minutes. This shows what a liar he is. Said I never called. So here is the evidence. And here is the call log that the president sent me from his phone. This is 1:22 o'clock in the morning, 22 o'clock in the morning. And then there was an outgoing call for 16 minutes.
Screaming out, come on over and arrest me if you want. What happens if that happens? Because the story doesn't turn out so good. God answers Joshua in his prayers. God listens, in fact, to Joshua saying, Lord, make the sun stand in its place so that we have a little bit more light. Make the moon stand in its place. So the sun stops moving and there's plenty of daylight for them to find them. And they end up trapping these 5 kings in a cave and then they end up hanging them for all to see. I feel like there's something big's going down. I feel like there's something huge is going to go down. But I feel like whatever it is going to backfire. Now, there are a lot of people that are behind this No Kings movement. If you haven't heard about it, the No Kings protests planned for June 14th. That's the day of the great military parade honoring Flag Day, which a lot of people are stressed out about. You know how many armed service members will be there? 6,600 soldiers. Yeah, a lot of them. This is celebrating President Donald Trump's 79th birthday. This is something that I talked about in the last show as well. The scale and the cost of this thing, not huge, but still pretty significant. They're going to have like 150 vehicles, Abrams tanks, Bradley fighting vehicles. That's why you saw all of, the armored cars and the armored trucks and the tanks and everything on that train, which, by the way, at the head of the train, you had the train and it had the number 1776. And you had a whole long line of these armored vehicles that got everybody saying, oh, this is what's happening. Meanwhile, it's all about this day. This day that I believe is sort of connected to this story in a roundabout way. You got the strawberry moon on June 11th. That's the signing of the Constitution by the 5 men. And then you got National Strawberry Shortcake Day, which is on June 14th, Flag Day. Just feels interesting because to make strawberry shortcake, you have to have the strawberries sit and stew for a while. So I feel like when I'm looking at this story, I feel like the biblical story of the 5 Amorite kings in Joshua 10 and the No Kings protest pledge shares a lot of significant relevance. Now, the No Kings protest has over 100 pro-democracy groups, including Indivisible. You know who's indivisible? Is God. Which I find interesting. The fact that it's 50-50 in one, 50,501 is another organization, 501, and Stand Up America plans to protest nationwide. Now, here's the wild part. All of this is centered around Meridian Hill Park, which is a Gibeon. That's what Gibeon means, a high hill. So you have the protest going on at a high hill. You have the war where you have the 5 kings against Joshua coming to Gibeon at the same time. I feel like we're going to have some kind of, I feel like there could be some kind of a skirmish or some kind of an event or something that ends up not doing very well when it comes to these 5 kings, whoever they may be. Could they be governors? Could they be groups that are getting together and they're thinking, hey, you know what we can do is we can do this. And a lot of people are very stressed out about some kind of an attack that may go down on that day. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know, I don't know the ins and the outs of what's always happening. I got ideas. And my idea is that when you're not trusting in God, you're going to enter into some deals that probably don't work so well to your favor. But if you seek God and you lean on God and you trust in God, He can make the sun and the moon stand still so that whatever God's doing in the land will not be overthrown. Whatever God is doing right now in this country it's not going to be overthrown. Not easily, not simply, not ever. I just got this vibe. You know, when I look at this, I look at it from two different points of view. You know, the no kings movement is like, we're not going to have any king over us, but it's basically, that's the way humans are. They're like, I'm not going to put a God over me. This was the deal with Saul. They didn't, Saul was a big mistake because what happened? Well, he started doing things without checking with God. He went to battle and did the sacrifice himself. He did it. He left God out of the equation. Ends up, a small shepherd named David ends up being king. 5 kings were motivated by self-preservation. If I don't see that happening right now, I don't see governors and tech moguls and everybody else acting in self-preservation right now. I don't know another time in history where I've seen it. Strawberry moon on my birthday. The moon is standing still. It's going to be bright. It's going to be huge. It's going to be in the sky. I feel like that may shine a light on things that the enemies are trying to hide. I'm not saying I know for sure. I'm not saying I got the cure. But I'm telling you, I feel like there's a connection to this story for us all to explore. So you should probably read the book of Joshua if you want. Read chapter 9, chapter 10. Get into that story. It's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing what God can do. You know, when a new movement comes in and God is doing something different, you got a lot of people that have been, in charge for a long period of time. They're not too happy with it. So we just have to say, okay, Lord, let your will be done, not ours. If they be corrupt, let them know it. And let the world see it. So show it. We can put it out there. If the people are against us, Lord, bring them to your correction. And then hopefully we can all get along. These things that are happening right now in LA, don't fall for it. Don't stress out about it. Don't get involved. Pray, be kind, do good things in your neighborhood, do good things in your family. Trust in God at this moment. Doesn't matter how many powerful people plot against you. You can be just like Joshua and say, Lord, shut it down. And it's going to be shut down. You know what else is going on? On June 14th, from what I heard, because a lot of people are saying that Soros funds these groups. Not just Soros. There's a lot of people, the Unitarian, Universalist, Social Justice Movement, the Interfaith Faith Alliance. Many faith leaders are jumping on board. Many democratic, organizations are jumping on board. But I heard, speaking of which, that Huma, you remember Huma? Remember her? Her husband who was sending, inappropriate pictures to children. She's marrying Soros's son on that day too. So you got a lot of weird stuff going on, got a weird, when the moon is like, it's a significant thing. This is when some people say, most of them are witches. This is when they do things like, the new moon, you set this intention, the waning moon, you set that intention, that the lunastice, big things happen, and that's what's going to happen at the lunar standstill. It's happening, and maybe we just need to do the same. Trust in God. All right, I love each and every one of you. Will you do me a favor? Do it for my birthday. If you haven't gotten any of the merch, get some of the merch. If you want to support me on PayPal, Patreon, anyway, all the links are in the description of the video. Should get yourself some merch, walk around, stuff like that. Sometimes it could take a couple of weeks, just so you know. They'll let you know by email, but Teespring's a good company. They always work it out. All the links in the description of the video. If you want to get yourself a copy of The Calling, I don't have it on set right now. I have it over there. Get yourself a copy at Amazon.com. Join Patreon. I have a PayPal link. Send me a letter. Send me a birthday. Hey, happy birthday. Just don't send me any checks because Israel is not my legal last name. It's the name that God inspired me to take. So I took it. All right. I love each and every one of you. I'll talk to you soon. Have the best day ever. Bye-bye.
Teachers teach for hire. The evangelists speak of either no responsibility or infinite fire. For gain they remain, for name they claim the truth while proving to be liars. And I, Lord, oh, I feel like a spy never gonna find it. Because your truth, oh Lord, few seem to wanna buy it. They build out of the reputations they've killed a kingdom that will become a funeral pyre for the behavior of those who claim to be God. I have truly grown tired. When will you show the world if they be corrupt they will be fired? Or else, how will they know your kingdom in this life? They never know until this type of behavior they retire. And I, Lord, oh, I feel like a spiral and a giant seeking day and night and feeling like I'm never gonna find it. Because your truth, oh Lord, few seem to wanna buy it. But here I am, oh Lord, here I am, a broken